All right, today we're talking about how to double your company's productivity using AI without having to staff up your team and hire more employees. And my guest today is Ethan King. I've had him on before, and he's going to tell you more about all of these concepts. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we feature top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and thought leaders and ask them how they built key relationships to get where they are today. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I'm the host of this show. And, every week we talk to smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies. And if you look in the archives, we've got Netflix and Grubhub and Redfin, Gusto, Kinko's, YPO, EO, Activision Blizzard, lots of great episodes. Go check out those archives. And before we get into this interview, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, we help businesses to give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We do that by helping you to run your podcast and content marketing. We are an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do the strategy, accountability, and full execution. In fact, we invented what some are calling the Wix of B2B podcasting. It's our platform, Podcast Copilot. And, Ethan, one of the pleasures of my life has been having a tool to bring someone like yourself onto the show and talk about what you're working on. And that's what we're going to be doing here today. I know that you are a fan of that and collaborating with different people out there. And so that's what I really love about podcasting is being able to do that. So anyone else who's interested in that, using the tool of podcasting in order to build great relationships with people in your life, go to our website, rise25.com, or you can email us at support@rise25.com. All right. And let me tell you about Ethan. First of all, he's been on the show before, so you can check out the previous guests where we dove into his background and the founding of his company, Zeus's Closet, and stuff for Greeks. But we're not going to get into that whole background now because he's got a new focus, and that is AI. And he has, we know each other through entrepreneurs organizations, been very active in EO, and kind of organically started helping other companies to utilize AI in a very effective way, and ChatGPT as well, and even wrote a book called ChatGPT Double Your Business in 90 Days. And Ethan, great to have you back here on the show again. And let's talk about how you got so passionate about AI. I know that you actually in Zeus's Closet had a lawsuit, which ended up putting you in a bit of a hole, lots of legal fees, and you needed to invest in automation to be able to keep your marketing going for that business. That kind of was the beginning of your interest in operating more efficiently. So tell us a story about how you got into that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. First of all, thanks for having me back, John. It's great to be here. And yes, over a decade ago, it's about 11 years ago, we were going through a nasty legal battle in our business. As you know, the road of entrepreneurship is not a smooth and easy one. It's rough and rocky. And we had to figure it out. I had a choice, either fight to keep our business or give up and file bankruptcy. And even though we dropped our staff count by a lot, by more than half, we chose to fight. And I had to do that in a creative way. So I decided to learn marketing automation. Now, if you remember from my previous episode, I was an art major in college. I'm a creative dude, so I'm not a coder or a computer programmer. But I went through this 3-day workshop and learned how to automate all of my emails and drip campaigns and sequences. And it just blew my mind. I had no idea you could do that stuff. I had no idea that I could do it. And it was so easy. So I built all of these automations. And then we got into automating social media and just went kind of an automation first mindset in our entire business. And at the end of the day, we not only saved our business, but we ended up doubling our revenue with about half the staff that we had when we went into the ordeal.
Mm.
So now I teach other companies. I didn't teach this stuff for the longest because I thought I was behind the curve and that I was playing catch up. So I never thought until I was talking to some other EO members about it. I didn't realize how advanced my strategies were. And then when ChatGPT and all that stuff came out at the end of 2022, just immediately jumped on and saw how we could plug that in to the processes and automations that we already had in place. Because AI itself is really just another automation, if you think about it. AI and automation go together like
Like
peanut
an
butter.
automation on steroids. And were
Right.
you like me? I in I think it was December of 2022 or late November of 2022 when ChatGPT came out, and I dabbled in some AI tools, kind of followed it a little bit, but had never been blown away by it, and certainly didn't see like a lot of application in our business. And then someone shared it on Twitter or something, and I started playing around with it, and it just kind of blew me away immediately. Did you have an experience like that?
Yeah, because I had dabbled around in like Jasper and things before ChatGPT came out, and it all sounded very robotic. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to use this. But then when ChatGPT came out and I realized it could do so much more, it just blew my mind. And really customizing it to sound like my own brand voice was the main thing that sold me on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this thing is really, really smart. And it can put so many things together that these other AI language tools can't do.
Yeah. And so you had actually been, when you came on my podcast, you'd been speaking about the topic of wealth beyond money, which was the topic of your previous book. And then you ended up going to a conference, global leadership conference in South Africa, and you started sharing about these custom AI bots, GPTs that you'd created. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so at that time, I was serving as the marketing chair for my EO chapter. Again, I've done it a few times. And these are volunteer roles for the benefit of your listeners. When we're on the board in our EO chapters, these are completely volunteer roles. So I
Right.
figured out the most efficient way to get the job done because I actually,
Entrepreneurs get a bad rap. It seems sometimes that all we do is for money, but this was definitely one where you're not getting paid anything, or if you're lucky, you're getting some free Diet Cokes or something out of it.
right. So I figure out how to automate this thing so that we could basically all you have to do is put in the name of an event, the name of the speaker, maybe copy and paste the speaker's bio and the date, and then just hit go. And this custom GPT will spit out all of the content, your social media content, your articles, your website write up, your landing page copy for the event, and it's tailored in a specific way. I programmed some stuff in there like about NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and marketing psychology, and starting with the benefit to the actual member. And this copy sounds great, and it's also in EO's voice because I went and I had ChatGPT sample from EO's website, so it sounds like it's EO's official brand voice, but it's also very appealing marketing copy, and it's all done for you in a split second. So I built that purely for myself, just
So
to
you
keep
didn't have to spend a bunch of time
right.
pounding out this stuff yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just get it done. And I shared it with my EO peers from around the globe at this event in South Africa, and it just blew people's minds. And I started getting speaking requests and consultation requests from that. And one thing led to another since I was already on the speaking circuit. And then then some of the event planners that were booking me for my AI talks, my AI workshops, because these are very intensive 4 hour AI workshops where people have laptops out, iPads out. We're actually doing the work right then and there. It's not a lecture where you go home and do it later. So I was getting booked for a lot of these workshops, and some of the event planners started to say, "Hey, do you have a book on AI that we could buy to go with this?" And I wasn't planning on writing an AI book because AI changes so fast. I was like, how in the world will I write a book? But
Right.
so many people asked for it. I said, you know what? I'm going to put a book out quickly. Of course, I have ChatGPT to help me write a book a lot faster now, but to do it in an authentic way. And I actually teach in my book how to authentically write a book using ChatGPT to help you be your ghostwriter with the chapters, where it doesn't sound robotic, but it's truly your own actual stories in your own actual voice.
That's so
And
meta.
yeah, right. Um, but yeah, we got the book out quick. I took pre-orders first and sold a ton of pre-orders, and then that held my feet to the fire, and we got the book out in August of last year. And the way that I did it is if you purchase the book from my website, if you purchase the paperback or the ebook, you get a copy of the ebook either way for free. And then every time I update the ebook, it automatically goes to your inbox. It just boom right there. It says latest version of ChatGPT to double your business in 90 days. So we've had several updates roll out. The most recent one was just now, February of 25, as we're recording this.
But yeah, I mean, and it's mind-boggling how to keep track of all these changes that are happening. It seems like new tools are rolling out every week or so. How do you keep tabs of it all?
Well, I have a bunch of different inputs. I listen to AI podcasts all the time. I have a task set up in ChatGPT that automatically spits out to me the latest AI news. If you go to the tasks feature in ChatGPT, then you can set it up to do execute recurring prompts.
Hmm.
So that's another way, and I'm just immersed in it. But the thing about it is, I don't just put every tool in the book. Like I've seen a lot of AI speakers just throw a bunch of tools at people and you get this dopamine hit, but I only put things in there that I actually practically use in my business.
Hmm.
So that's the filter. It's like, okay, this is how, because if my business, Zeus's Closet Stuff for Greeks, we make custom apparel. So I'm not like a techie guy. So I feel like if I can apply this to my everyday business, then any entrepreneur out there can probably use the same tools.
Yeah. And are you the type of guy who's going out there, it started with ChatGPT, but there's Claude and there's Perplexity and there's all these different tools. There's Microsoft Copilot. Are you testing all the different ones to see which one works the best?
Yeah, I do test a lot of them, and all of those subscriptions start to add up, right?
Yeah.
But what I found right now at the time of this recording, there are certain tools have certain strengths. For example, I do subscribe to Claude as well as ChatGPT. I think that Claude is a better writer in most cases. It's more human sounding, it's more fluid. So I'll test out material in both of them and kind of, I'll even use content from ChatGPT, pop it in Claude and back and forth. It's like having two assistants. You know, if you have two different human assistants, they're going to have different personalities, different backgrounds, different insights. So I think it's good to have more than one. Perplexity right now is the best at research. So I go there first before Google, before ChatGPT, before anyone else.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big fan of Perplexity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were the first to give you all the sources and
Yeah.
you can trust it, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Even with the
totally.
new search GPT feature in chat GPT, it's not 100% reliable at this moment. So while they each have their different strong suits, I do still feel like chat GPT is the best all-around Swiss Army knife of the AI world at this time. So
Yeah.
if you had to pick one, I would tell someone, go ahead, like pay for the plus version of ChatGPT.
Yeah. What about you mentioned you were an art major, and one of the surprising things about AI is that that it turns out that it has been pretty good at creative. A
Mm.
lot of people thought that AI would come and replace more routinized type of roles and that humans would be left doing the creative stuff. And I think that was kind of like a big shocker is that, there was DALL-E and there's these other AI artistic tools, and that ChatGPT could write sonnets and write poems and write fiction and stuff like that. So, w- as a former art major, and I was an English major in college,
Mm.
how, did you ever think that we'd be in this kind of situation where AI would be generating creative output?
Oh, I think that surprised everyone. If anyone tells me they saw that coming, I would not believe them because come for the artist first is something else. But it makes sense because it's just trained on humanity. So these LLMs, it's all just a big math problem, right? It's just like Google's predictive search feature where you start typing in a couple of words and then it predicts what you're going to say. It's really just like that times millions, on steroids. It's the
Yeah.
same type of concept. When it comes to the visual image creation, right now, my favorite tool is ideogram.ai. Have you played around with that one?
I think I have a while ago, though. Yeah, I'll have to check it out again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's improved a lot. And Midjourney used to be my favorite. It'd probably be my second favorite now because while it produces really realistic looking images, it's still not great at spelling. But ideogram I've found to be the best at spelling right now. So you can actually put things in, and I would say about 80% of the time, depending on, how many words you have on it, it'll actually get the spelling correct, and it gives you very realistic output for your images.
Yeah, that was a problem a while back where some of these different generators you'd say, put this word in the headline and make a logo, and the completely would misspell it.
Right.
Yeah, it's gotten better at that. Um, and what about how have you, how did you bring this to your team? How did you get your team to utilize AI first, or did you go task by task and say, here's how you would use it, or did you kind of give them the tool and say, hey, maybe this can work? Like, how did you get your company and get your team to adopt this tool?
Well, my team has already been used to having an automation first mindset anyway. Even before AI tools came out, we were always looking for the most efficient way to do things. So, me introducing, like, okay, hey, I built this custom GPT, put the information in here to generate the blogs for Stuff for Greeks because it'll be in Stuff for Greeks brand voice. That's nothing new to them. It's just the latest automation.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we have,
maybe a better question then is for other clients you've worked with where there's a reluctant or let's say a team that hasn't quite adopted this stuff. How do you introduce it? Is there a way of introducing it to a team so they don't feel threatened by it and so that they can see its potential?
Yeah, definitely. That's a big sore spot. And a lot of teams, companies will hire me to talk to their team because they know that they have that resistance from some of their
I'm
team members.
I'm picturing a boss that's like, "Hey guys, Ethan's going to talk to you. I'll see you later." Gone. You come in, it's like be the bad guy.
Well, some people, I mean, their bosses are very self-aware. They know I can tell these guys all day, but they won't listen to me. I want them to hear it from you. So, and I have a way of breaking it down in a way that makes sense. And I tell people, there are two types of people in this world: those who are like, oh no, AI is going to take my job, and they're fearful. And then those who are like, hell yeah, AI is going to take my job and it's going to allow me to do so much more.
Right.
So you got to, because AI will come for your job unless you come for AI first. So that's what I teach people. It's the new expected skill set will be a human being managing a bunch of digital employees. You will be expected to know how to create and deploy AI bots, digital employees, whatever you want to call them, custom GPTs. It's all the same concept, right? That will be an expected skill set, just like we expect employees to know Google Docs and Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel and that type of thing.
Or if you're a graphic designer, you come in and you say, "I don't know how to use Photoshop" or something like
Right.
that, and be like, "What? Well, get out of here. We can't use you."
Right, right. So
Yeah.
don't be scared of AI. You need to be scared of not knowing how to use AI. So go ahead and jump on it early because it continues to advance so fast. The longer you wait, then the harder it's going to be to catch up because you don't understand the five things that came before where we are now. Because AI, the playing field has been leveled since you no longer have to be a coder to break into the AI space and start building AI apps and things like that. That's why we've seen this proliferation of AI tools. If you go to there's an AI for that.com, I think last time I checked, there are 40,000 different AI tools out there. You could just search whatever you're looking for, and somebody's probably created something. So there's no shortage because now everybody can be a developer, a web developer, an app developer, a coder. You can have it visualize data and compare charts, and anyone can do it all in a split second. You don't even need a computer. You can do it on your phone with your voice talking to ChatGPT. So, I mean, when you talk about the playing field being level, it's level. And now that's going to accelerate the rate of change, not to mention the competition that we have amongst companies. And like, we have Grok versus, Google has their thing going on, and then Amazon,
Right.
Claude, OpenAI, but then countries. We have China versus US, and US wants to win, and they've invested $500 billion in what's it called? Project Seagate or something, whatever the thing they
Mm-hmm.
announced. They have the $500 billion investment. Oh, Stargate, the $500 billion investment in AI. So these competitive races are a benefit means the developments are going to happen faster and faster and faster. So
Yeah.
that's a benefit to the consumer, but we have got to keep up. So start now because it's actually easy, but just jump in and embrace it.
Yeah. I want to ask about you started speaking to different chapters and different businesses and talk, kind of sharing your experience of how you went from automation in Zeus's closet to using AI and explain different ways of doing it. And that basically turned into an agency and you started working with clients. So maybe take us through some of the different clients that you've worked with, what their challenges were and what they were looking to do with AI.
Sure. Yeah. I work with a wide range of clients. So marketing agencies come to me. They want to know how to speak because they're representing several different brands. So they need AI to be set up in a way where they can communicate in each unique brand voice for their clients. And I help them get set up with that. I worked with a company called Crop Defenders. They're an agriculture company, so they're a very, very specialized niche market where they sell these good bugs that keep away the bad bugs to protect our crops. So instead of chemicals and pesticides, that's what they sell to very certain specific greenhouses. So they needed to know how to increase their marketing. They're a very sizable company and they're in the growth mindset. So the way you can't just go and plug in like just generic marketing copy. So we had to get very strategic with them on how they expand. I have another client who I can't disclose this client's name or company name, but we are building a digital clone of this person to really, in effect, replace them. So voice, video, and then building a custom brain on the back end with all of the content that needs to be shared, where you can call up and have a conversation with the digital avatar of this person.
And is that for like marketing purposes externally? Is that for like internal training purposes internally to share knowledge with the team or both?
It is for business development,
Got it. Okay. So okay. Because
conversational business
I
development.
guess I guess I guess it depends on what the role of the owner or the face of that business does, and to a certain point in the probably not too far off future, it could be any of those things. It could be any of the roles that we
Yeah.
perform as a owner or as the face of a company.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, an easy layup right now for any business is why do you need a center? Why do you need humans answering your phone? So
Mm.
one of the features that we built in when I created my software, SimpleSuccess.ai, you will have an AI voice answering service, but it's not robotic like press one for this, press two for that. You're having a conversation with a human being. So I have dental offices that I've implemented that for, and you can program just like a custom GPT. You can program on the back end of your AI employee that answers the phone. They know what types of insurance this dental office takes. They know pricing. So you can it can have a pretty in-depth conversation and really help people.
I've listened to these recordings before, and I remember even Google did it with restaurants before ChatGPT came out. This is like
Right.
3 or 4 years ago. There was a
Mhm.
recording that came out that was mind-boggling. But even you just telling me this right now, I'm like, no, no way. That can't be. I mean, it's just crazy that it's
Yeah.
still that we can do these things.
Yeah, Google was I had forgotten about that. Google was very early with that technology and it sounded real. They even put breaths in the AI's
It
voice,
did.
pauses and ums. They were cutting edge with that. But
Yeah.
now I predict that that will be just par for the course. Every business will be expected to have that. And soon enough, humans, when they call a business, will prefer to talk to the AI because
Hmm.
the AI will be very helpful and it'll be very friendly. It will be there 24/7. It won't be having a bad day or anything like that. So, someone in my EO forum actually joked about it, said one day, within the next 5 years, you'll probably call up a company, get a human being, and say, "Can you put me on the phone with your AI, please?"
I believe it
Yeah.
because sometimes you want to communicate with like a chat. All the different AI chats, some of those are are better. They're not all, like some of them are bad, but lots of them are really good and they get you to the answer that you want a lot quicker than a human that might take a while to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah,
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 and the
for sure.
conversation in the level of conversation, I mean, first of all, the breadth of intelligence and knowledge that AI has, but then the ability to alter the conversation to any like specific dialect or talk like Albert Einstein or Mickey Mouse, or the ability to morph all of that is so fun. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking about even where you are, where Waymo is popular, and
Yeah, that's a great example because actually, like a month or so ago, on our local next door, someone brought that up. I think it was a woman said, no, no, a man said, "Why would I ride in a Waymo? Ubers are so much better." And it was fascinating. I mean, I do live in the Bay Area, so there's a lot of tech savvy people here, but so many people responded and said, "I would much rather ride in a Waymo." For multiple different reasons. And a lot of the women said, I feel a lot more comfortable in a Waymo than some man driving me around. And of course, the man who'd posted it didn't consider this at all. But I've ridden in a number of the different Waymos. I think I saw you posted an image, a video of you online recently, and they're great. They're amazing.
yeah, and well, I actually have not been in one yet. I saw your video. I think the first time you got in one, you shared a video.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I had another friend who was out there and recently tried one. And the funny thing about his video, my friend Godfrey, he noticed that there was no one to have a conversation with. You can't strike up a conversation with the Uber driver, the cab driver. There's no one in the seat.
Maybe they'll program that at some point.
Isn't that an easy? It's
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
easy. Just put an instance of ChatGPT in there and
Right.
let's talk about the weather or whatever, right?
Right, right. Well, because frankly, everyone's on their phone. That's what they do.
Right. Yeah.
It's like mind-boggling for about 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes later, you're like, and I got some texts I need to respond to, and you just like it just becomes normal really quickly. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
will be normal. It will be at some point. I don't know, I would love to hear your prediction on this. I think within the next 20 years, once we smooth out everything with autonomous driving vehicles and the whole network is autonomous self-driving vehicles and they talk to each other and humans are pretty much outlawed from driving,
I
we
agree.
will look back at this time and think how barbaric
Yeah,
that we
absolutely.
drove ourselves and
Yeah.
people died.
Well, and 40,000 people die a year from auto accidents, which
Right.
are primarily from DUIs or distracted driving or all that kind of stuff. So once we get to the point where we realize that it can be a lot safer, then I agree. They're gonna be like, this is insane. Or,
Yeah.
people have said it'll be kind of like horseback riding. Like some people will continue to ride horses, just like they'll
Yeah.
continue to ride, cars maybe off road or something like
Oh,
that for the fun of it. But
right.
yeah, in terms of like day-to-day transportation, though, they probably won't be.
Right.
So you've mentioned some tools. Any other tools that you want to mention that are interesting or that are fun or that you're keeping your eye on that people should be checking out these days?
Well, keeping my eye on the video creation tools like Sora. They're none of them are quite there yet. It depends on what you're doing. But if you want to have some fun with Sora, by the way, if you have the plus version of ChatGPT, you already have a subscription to Sora as well. It's included. Just go to Sora.com or click on it in the left menu of your ChatGPT application, and you can create videos from a text prompt. So to have fun with this, after you've trained ChatGPT on your business and everything about you, which you should do in your custom instructions if you haven't already, ask Sora or ask ChatGPT to write a prompt for Sora to create a Super Bowl commercial for your business and see
Oh,
what it,
wow. Cool.
yeah.
That's a
And
cool
then
one.
yeah, take that, copy that prompt that ChatGPT wrote for Sora, go over to Sora, put it in there, and just see what happens. See if it sparks some thought, and then you can remix it and play around with it. But it created a pretty cool scene for me for Zeus's Closet. It had this guy coming onto campus wearing his jacket, and all these girls are around looking at him. He's like the center of attention, and then it focuses on the embroidery on the back of the jacket. So of course it didn't nail it. It's not anything that I would actually use in a production environment, but I could take it to a director or something and be like, here's my concept. This is what I want to shoot in real life. So I'm
Yeah.
keeping my eye on it because all of this technology is just in its infancy. It's only going to get better and better and better exponentially by leaps and bounds. So that will be interesting to see where AI generated video goes.
Yeah, well, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago that Tyler Perry, who you told a great story about your work with him on the last time I interviewed you, but he like a year and a half ago had this like plan to like spend $1 billion or something to expand his campus
Mhm.
in Georgia.
Yeah,
And he put it on hold after he'd seen, I think, some of those early tools and said, like, I don't think we're gonna need to have all this physical infrastructure anymore. And
yeah,
that was kind of sent shockwaves through the industry that, people were seeing this kind of potential.
that's exactly right. Yeah, he saw it coming before he made a major investment that he knew would turn into probably empty studio space sooner than later.
I mean, it'd be
Uh,
like the equivalent of like someone who bought like a medallion for like a New York City taxi 10 years ago, right? Right before like Uber and Lyft came
right.
along, like great,
Yeah.
this is useless now.
Yeah. Talk about bad timing. Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay. So, Sora, any other tools that you'd recommend that people check out, or any other advice for people that haven't gotten started with this yet? I'll say one thing I did is I just decided a couple of months ago that anytime I thought of Googling something, I would go straight to an AI app first. And Perplexity definitely was a great one for me. And I also found that the more specific the inquiry that you have, not something like, oh, what time is the local pizza shop open, but something like very specific about problem with your car, like what tool do I need in order to fix this light thing or whatever, or something very specific. That's what I found was really helpful in using the AI tools over like Googling it.
Yes, and you can also take a photo of something and say, how do I fix this? Or what do
Mm,
I do with this? Or you can turn on the advanced camera mode in ChatGPT on the phone, and it has vision, so it can see what's happening in the camera field, and you can ask it things about whatever's going on. So it's beyond just a type, like physically typing in a search query. In
mm,
fact, traditional search engine usage has declined by about 24% in the past year. People
wow.
are starting to go to AI first, just like you and I. 100% of the people on this call are using AI first. But people are also going to social media first when they want to research a business because they
Mm,
want to look, touch, and feel and experience that business as much as they can. Think
mm,
about if you go to Google now or any traditional search engine, you see what about seven sponsored ads first before you even get to an organic listing. And
mhm,
we're smart now. We know that those sponsored ads are paid. We don't trust them. We want to see at least the organic, but even better, if I can see what other people are saying about your brand, if I can get a sense for how it feels when I walk into your shop or what it's like to work with you. But then AI, now that just gives you a straight answer. No fluff. Whatever you want to know, here's the answer. Boom, 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 boom. And then you don't have to guess and poke around and ask, is this a reliable resource? So the reason that that's important is because now that changes the game for SEO for small business owners. You need to make sure that you have long form content in as many places as possible so that you get picked up by the AI LLMs because that's where they get their information from. Just like when you go on Perplexity, it shows you all the different sources. You need to be talked about in as many of those sources as possible so that you're still seen as an authority. That's the new SEO. And not just with text like articles and blogs and things like that on various websites, but also your videos. You need to have a heavy presence on YouTube with long form video because YouTube is the world's second largest search engine.
right.
And it happens to be owned by the world's largest search engine, Google. So you
Yeah.
get that added boost in benefit. So those are the two things that I tell people: leverage AI to really, really expand your digital footprint so that you don't get lost as people are moving away from traditional search.
We've had this model for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years where we've kind of an expectation that everything would be free. Google's free, Gmail's free, Google Maps is free, Facebook is free. Do you think that we're going to shift? Well, two things. Do you think that like ChatGPT and Gemini and Perplexity will start inserting ads, or do you think we're going to shift to a model where we go back to a situation where we just kind of expect we're going to have to pay for these things? So we'll have our subscription to ChatGPT, we'll have our subscription to Perplexity, and the freemium model that we had for many years will kind of go out of favor for a while.
I hope it's the latter. I hope that they don't have an ad-based model. I can't stand that. I'd rather just pay for it to not have ads. Now, I don't know if I'm in the minority on that. But it
Or
will
maybe
be.
it'll be both. Maybe there will be you can have ads inserted into your ChatGPT results if you want to. Yeah.
Right. But the thing about ChatGPT and all of these LLMs is that they're going to go beyond just the web browser or the iPhone app. When we all have Tesla robots walking around our house doing chores, we'll be able to talk to those robots. And we're basically talking to like an LLM. We'll probably be talking to Grok, I guess, since Elon owns Tesla. But we'll be talking to an LLM, so you'll get the voice, the conversation, and it would be kind of weird to just have an ad and for your robot
Right.
to just plug a certain business or a product
Right.
because it's an ad, right?
Right. Yeah, that would definitely be weird. Well, Ethan, this has been great. Really interesting hearing all the different stuff you're working on. Where can people go to learn more about you and connect with you or shoot you a question if they have a question?
Sure. Just go to my website, ethanking.com. Shoot me an email, ethan@ethanking.com. I try to keep it really simple. So, however I can help, whether it's you want to buy a copy of the book or you want to book a call for a consultation to see how I can help you further, I'm big into it. Day and night, I'm obsessed with where this AI thing is going. So, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, cool. Ethan, thanks so much.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.